Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the weekly waiver wire show. Unfortunately, we're just about out of waivers. Look, it's week 12. There's not a whole lot out there. I got a desperation play for you at quarterback. If you need QB, you had Joe Burrow. I got a running back if you're in a shallow league and you're super lucky if you can even find these guys. Got some really good defenses, dart throws at tight ends, but that's about it, man. It is the way it is. It's a messy season. We're just going to get through it. But hey, someone's going to win the championship. It's a guarantee. Maybe that's you. All right, moving on to bye weeks. Week 12 this week. There are no bye weeks, but we have a bye-mageddon coming up like no other. 6 teams on bye. Lots of prominent fantasy players on those teams. The Bills, Bears, Giants, Raiders, Vikings, and Ravens are all on bye week 13. Week 14, a couple teams on bye, the Cardinals and Commanders, and then there are no more bye weeks, and the fantasy playoffs start. Okay, let's move on to the quarterbacks to add. I got you covered if you're desperate in a Superflex league or you got Joe Burrow who's out for the season. We have some pickups right here. We got Jordan Love going against the Lions, Matthew Stafford. Don't like him as much without Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp might be back real soon or might not be. We'll have to wait and see. You got Gardner Minshew, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, and then we're kind of getting into the Superflex League territory here. Desmond Ridder, now named the starter for the Falcons. Jake Browning, he's the backup quarterback for the Bengals, now the starter with Burrow out. DTR for the Browns. Tim Boyle named the starter for the Jets. Zach Wilson is now the QB3 for the Jets. And then we got Bailey Zappi, who I think is going to start, but I don't know. I have no clue. We never know what Belichick is thinking. I think it's kind of over for Mac Jones. At least this year, he needs a mental break. I don't think he can really play anymore. I think they need to go with Bailey Zappi and see what they got and kind of evaluate the future. But it just keeps getting worse and worse for Mac Jones. So we'll see if they do make a switch at the quarterback position. And then for the Saints, Derek Carr, if he's healthy, he'll play. But we don't know if he's going to be healthy. If not, Jameis Winston gets to play. He's a bit of a gunslinger, so I do like him in deep fantasy leagues. For running backs, there's really nobody to add. I didn't want to just keep putting the same handcuffs on here. For instance, Elijah Mitchell, great add, stash. Kenny Gainwell, great stash, a handcuff. So on and so forth, the same names. We already know Ty Chandler was the ad last week. Like, it's the same old. I did want to mention some stuff that has changed with recent news. Seahawks play Thursday Night Football, last game of Thanksgiving, and they're going up against the Niners. It seems like Ken Walker is almost for sure not going to play on a short week. He is injured. So Zach Charbonnet, who's a decent running back, will get the start. And for the Packers, everybody on this team is questionable. Don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that Aaron Jones is hurt. So, and A.J. Dillon is like, this team has been pretty messy, pretty unpredictable all around. So, not too confident in A.J. Dillon, but if you need a running back and Aaron Jones seeming like he'll miss time, A.J. Dillon is pretty much a must add. For wide receivers, the rankings don't really matter. There's not a huge difference between these guys, but here are some guys if you need to add depth. Demario Douglas, he's pretty much a must-add, the number one receiver on the Patriots. Really the only bright spot, if you can even call it that, for the Patriots. And then kind of a bright spot is Ramondre Stevenson and maybe the defense, which is up and down because they have their issues and their offense puts them in bad situations. Then we got Romeo Doubs, who's been pretty consistent for the Packers. This happens, that happens, but Romeo Doubs is always there to save the fantasy day. Odell Beckham Jr. is back. He's looking better the last couple weeks. Rashid Shaheed gets a boost with Michael Thomas going on IR. Brandon Cooks, he's a guy. Khalil Shakir taking over the Gabe Davis. What's going on here? 0 targets, multiple games. Gabe Davis, you've already hit the panic button. It's no more question about hitting the panic button with Gabe Davis. The panic button has already been pushed and is already broken. It doesn't work anymore. Elijah Moore is kind of coming back, getting a good amount of targets. Now, He's a guy I recommended. He's been a bust, pretty much a must drop in most scenarios. But here's the thing with Elijah Moore. I think he's still a good receiver. He still got targets. He's still getting targets and will get targets. He's just a low upside wide receiver. The Browns aren't a team that scores a ton of offensive touchdowns. They're not a team that's going to score a ton of receiving touchdowns and throw the ball really well. It's just how it is. They're a team that runs the ball. They're a good team, and they have one of the best, if not the best defense in the league. Definitely top 3 defense for sure, I'd say. And that's just the makeup of the team. And they're kind of struggling at QB, right? They've started 3 different quarterbacks this year, sometimes due to necessity. Sometimes they've swapped them out. So it's, it is what it is. And then we got Tutu Atwell, who gets a huge boost if Cooper Kupp is out. If not, he's not even worth rostering. And then we got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's, dare I say, the number 2 wide receiver for the Patriots. Although, as you can tell by my inflection, not too confident in even saying that. For tight ends, we have a ton of dart throws. And I just wanted to be clear. I'm always trying to be clear on live streams and this and that I am very cautious with Isaiah Likely. It's just that we have no choice. If you don't have one of the top 5 tight ends or even top 6, top 7, and 6-7 range would be a guy like Cole Kmet maybe. If you don't have those guys, Trey McBride or better, right? Kincaid or better, Kittle or better, then you kind of have to add Isaiah Likely. You have no choice. I'm just having a lot of reservations with him. He's not really panned out like we thought, even though they brought in Monken, the tight end guru. It's not working out. I don't think it's going to happen. But then again, look at who's number 2 on this list. Hunter Henry. We have no faith in him. So instead of going on this weird Patriots team, hey, maybe I get a tight end who I like on a good Ravens team with I at least know who's the starter, and he's pretty dang good, Lamar Jackson. So it's like a real team. It's a good team. Hey, this guy's got a shot. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot of times, and that's just the way fantasy goes. You got to know, what percentage chance am I going to be wrong? So although I think Isaiah Likely doesn't offer much upside, he's not really great, he's not going to be awesome, it's really 50-50. I really could be wrong on this, and you just have to add him, at least as a stash or a tight end too. So he's definitely number 1 on my list. I'm really dying to see what he can do. I would usually say I don't recommend spending a lot of FAB on him, but there's really nobody else to add, and there won't be. So I'm okay if you spend the rest of your FAB on him. I wouldn't spend more than 30% of the FAB you started with, but I think spending 15% of your total FAB, your initial FAB, is a very smart thing to do. It's a calculated risk. I'll just read these other names here. The rankings don't matter too much. We got Hunter Henry, Michael Mayer, Jonnu Smith, Luke Musgrave. He's questionable. Tyler Conklin. Remember, there's a quarterback change there for Green Bay. Daniel Bellinger, who I really like. He's kind of like Elijah Moore, a low upside tight end. This is not a team that scores a ton of offensive touchdowns, although I think Tommy DeVito, whatever his name is, was the best quarterback last week. Go figure. Donald Parham, Tanner Hudson for the Bengals, Cade Otton, and then we got Jelani Woods, who should be returning from IR really soon. I don't really expect much from him, but I just added him in a Dynasty League for $6 off FAB, so hey, maybe he will do something. For defenses, this is really awesome. The top 11 to 12 defenses I have are all great ads, and it's all really, really close. So we have the Steelers D going up against the backup quarterback, and I'm a little scared of that because Jake Browning looked really good, and so there's a huge question mark there. Usually you'd be like, oh, Steelers going up against a backup defense. I love that. Steelers wreak a lot of havoc. They get a lot of fantasy points. They make huge plays. But not really far behind are these other three defenses. The Dolphins going against the Jets. Now, I absolutely love this. The Jets offense could be making a few mistakes. It's messy. Basically, like, this whole thing could unravel here for the Jets if Tim Boyle doesn't, if he does royally screw up. We'll see. Maybe we'll see Trevor Siemian this game. Like, you can expect anything this game. You can expect a pick six. You can expect a fumble return for a touchdown. You can expect Tim Boyle getting benched in the fourth quarter. Injuries, anything, all these crazy things happening. Like, you can expect anything. Moving on. Chiefs D going against the Raiders. Great defense. Chiefs defense is playing, should I say elite level or just about elite level? I mean, they're really, really good this year. Like, they look amazing. So the Chiefs D is really talented, and the Raiders offense is just, it's not really humming, you know. Josh Jacobs and a new head coach, like, they look good. They look like a real team, but they're still not a great team. I just said they're good. No, they're okay. They look like a legitimate team now, but they're still not really a good team, unfortunately. Then we got the Niners D, who really could be number one. I don't even care who the Niners play. They're just gonna get you fantasy points. They're great. The Niners are an elite team all around. And then it doesn't really matter at all with these rankings after this, to be honest. We got the Patriots D in a low-scoring game going against the Giants. Titans D going against the Panthers. Panthers are the worst offense in the league. Broncos going against the Browns. Browns don't put up a ton of points. In that same game, which should be low-scoring, Browns D going against the Broncos. Get the Giants D, Ravens D, not a good matchup at all, but Ravens D is an elite defense. Vikings D going against the Bears. The Vikings D's been the biggest sleeper defense this year. All they do is put up points, and it's not like the matchup's that great, but the Bears do tend to make a couple mistakes here and there. Or should I say Justin Fields? He's prone to making one or two big mistakes, and that's all it would take for the Vikings to get double-digit fantasy points. We got the Bengals D going against the Steelers. The Steelers offense sucks. They did just fire Matt Canada, so maybe things will improve. Lions D, Saints D, Colts D, Bucks D, and Falcons D. Just want to give you guys more names for those of you who are in deep leagues and basically rank them. I left out only a couple, like the Cowboys D is probably still the best D this week, or at least up there with like top 5. At number 1 for kickers, I got Brandon Aubrey. I love him this week. And just right there, tied with him, is Harrison Butker. You know, I love starting kickers against the Raiders, no matter what the stats say, what people think. It ended up working out well last time I talked about that. We got Jake Moody. Again, don't care who he's playing. He's always great. Jason Sanders, good matchup there, and really try to get one of these top 4. If you can't, we still have some pretty good kickers. Younghoe Koo, the matchup's not good, but Younghoe Koo is super talented. Like, he's really, really good kicker. Got Nick Folk in a great matchup. Riley Patterson in a great matchup. So Riley Patterson, he was the biggest bust kicker last week, but I do expect him to turn it around this week. Evan McPherson, Matt Gay, Dustin Hopkins, and Brandon McManus. Those are all the kickers. Hopefully you're able to get one of these top 4, though, if you can. And if not, a top 7, I think, would really work out for you. And there's really no reason you can't get one of those guys for $1 FAB, or what I prefer, $0 FAB. That's going to do it for this video. If I missed anyone on these list of waivers, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know, hey, you missed these names. If you have any fantasy questions, drop a comment. I read every single comment. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, subscribe to our second YouTube channel, Fantasy Couch Podcast. Lots of good content, live streams, and podcasts on there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Good luck. Let's make playoffs.